Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the English Learning Podcast. My name is Jason, and as always, I'm very excited to be here with all of you today. If you are learning English and dreaming about speaking fluently, confidently, and naturally, then today's episode is exactly for you.
And I'm Julia, and we are so happy you joined us today. Whether you are listening while studying, walking, relaxing at home, or traveling somewhere, thank you for spending your time with us. Today, we're going to talk about something that almost every English learner thinks about every single day, and that is fluency.
That's right, Julia. So many people study English for years. They learn grammar rules, memorize vocabulary, watch videos, and read books. But when it's time to actually speak English, they suddenly feel nervous, confused, or stuck. Sometimes they know the words in their mind, but they cannot speak smoothly in real conversations.
Exactly. And honestly, that situation can feel very frustrating and even discouraging. Many learners start asking themselves questions like, why am I still not fluent? Or, what is the secret to speaking English naturally? Well, in today's episode, we are going to answer those questions together.
Yes, because today we're talking about the only way to become fluent in English. And trust me, the answer is probably much simpler than you think. You do not need to be perfect, you do not need expensive courses, and you definitely do not need to sound like a native speaker from day one.
Absolutely. In this episode, we'll share practical advice, real examples, motivation, and simple methods that can truly help you become more fluent step by step. So relax, enjoy the conversation, and let's begin today's powerful episode together.
So, Julia, before we talk about the solution, I think we first need to talk about the biggest problem. Why do so many people study English for years, but still cannot speak fluently?
Honestly, Jason, I think one of the biggest reasons is fear. Many English learners are afraid of making mistakes. They worry about pronunciation, grammar, or saying something wrong in front of other people. Because of that fear, they stay silent instead of practicing.
That is so true. And the sad thing is that many learners actually know a lot of English already. They understand grammar rules, they know vocabulary, and they can even pass English exams. But when they enter a real conversation, they freeze because they are not used to using English naturally.
Exactly. A lot of people spend years only studying English instead of living English. They read grammar books again and again, but they rarely speak. They watch videos every day, but they never practice speaking out loud. And fluency cannot grow if English stays only inside your head.
I completely agree. Speaking is a skill, just like driving, swimming, or playing football. You cannot become good at it only by watching other people do it. You must practice it yourself. But many learners keep waiting for the perfect moment to start speaking English confidently.
Yes, and another common problem is translation. Many learners try to translate every sentence from their native language into English before speaking. That process takes too much time and makes conversations slow and stressful.
Exactly. Instead of thinking naturally in English, they are constantly fighting inside their minds, searching for perfect words and perfect grammar. And because of that, conversations become exhausting instead of enjoyable.
And let's not forget confidence. Some learners compare themselves to fluent speakers online and think, I'll never sound like that. But they forget something very important. Every fluent English speaker was once a beginner too.
That's such an important point. Fluency is not something people are born with. It's something they build slowly through daily practice, mistakes, repetition, and real communication.
Absolutely. And today, we want everyone listening to understand this clearly. The reason most people never become fluent is not because they are unintelligent or untalented. It's because they spend too much time preparing to speak instead of actually speaking.
Now, Julia, I think this is the perfect time to talk about something very important, what fluency actually means. Because honestly, many English learners have the wrong idea about fluency.
That's absolutely true. A lot of people think fluency means speaking perfect English all the time without making a single mistake. They imagine fluent speakers as people who know every vocabulary word, every grammar rule, and every expression in English. But that's not the reality.
Exactly. Real fluency is not perfection. Fluency means being able to communicate your thoughts naturally and confidently. It means expressing your ideas without constantly stopping because of fear or overthinking.
Yes, in fact, even native English speakers make grammar mistakes sometimes. They forget words, they correct themselves, and sometimes they say simple sentences too. But communication still happens naturally and comfortably.
That's such an important thing for learners to understand. You do not need perfect English to have real conversations. You only need the confidence to use the English you already know.
Absolutely. And honestly, simple English spoken confidently is much more powerful than advanced English spoken with fear. Many learners already know enough English to communicate, but they keep doubting themselves.
Right. Fluency is really about flow. It's about speaking more naturally, understanding more easily, and feeling relaxed during conversations. It's not about sounding like a dictionary or an English professor.
And another important thing is this: fluency grows step by step. Nobody wakes up one morning suddenly speaking perfect English. Every small conversation, every mistake, every practice session helps you become more comfortable and more fluent over time.
Exactly. So if you are listening right now, remember this powerful idea. Fluency is not about being perfect. It's about being able to connect, communicate, and express yourself confidently in English. All right, everyone. Now we've reached the most important part of today's episode, the real answer to becoming fluent in English. And honestly, the answer is very simple. The only true way to become fluent in English is to use English every single day in your real life.
Exactly. Not sometimes. Not only when you feel motivated. Not only on weekends. Real fluency comes from daily contact with English. Even if you practice for only 10 or 15 minutes a day, that daily habit can completely change your speaking ability over time.
Yes, because fluency is like building a muscle. If you practice once a month for 5 hours, you will not improve very much. But if you practice every day consistently, even for a short time, your brain slowly becomes more comfortable with English.
That's so true. And one of the best things learners can do is stop translating everything in their minds. Instead of thinking in your native language first, try to think directly in English. Start with very simple thoughts like, I'm making coffee, I need to study today, or the weather is nice.
Exactly. Those small habits are powerful. Many people think fluency only comes from big lessons or difficult grammar books, but real fluency is built through small daily actions. Talking to yourself in English, describing your day, reading out loud, or repeating useful phrases can make a huge difference.
And I really want to mention something important here. Learners should focus more on phrases instead of only individual vocabulary words. native speakers usually speak in groups of words and natural expressions, not isolated vocabulary lists.
That's a great point. For example, instead of only learning the word tired, learn full phrases like, I'm really tired today, or I didn't sleep well last night. This helps your brain produce English more naturally during conversations.
Absolutely. And another powerful habit is surrounding yourself with English as much as possible. Listen to English podcasts, watch English videos, read simple English content, and try to create an English environment around your daily life.
Yes. And here's something very important for everyone listening today. You do not need to speak perfect English every day. You just need to keep using English every day. Consistency is much more important than perfection.
Exactly. Because every conversation, every sentence, and every small effort is helping your brain become faster and more confident in English. Slowly, English stops feeling like a school subject and starts becoming part of your real life.
And, honestly, that is the moment when real fluency begins, when English becomes something you use naturally instead of something you only study. All right, Julia. I think this is the perfect time to show our listeners a simple, real-life English conversation. Because sometimes learners think fluent English must sound difficult, but actually, natural English is often very simple.
Exactly. So let's imagine we are two friends meeting at a coffee shop and talking casually in English.
Hey, Julia, it's good to see you again. How have you been lately?
Hey, Jason. I've been doing really well, thanks. I've been very busy these days, but I'm also trying to spend more time improving my English speaking skills.
That's great. So, what are you doing these days to practice your English?
Honestly, I'm trying to use English every single day. I listen to podcasts in the morning, I speak to myself in English when I'm alone, and sometimes I even record my voice to practice pronunciation.
Wow, that's actually a really smart way to improve. I think daily practice is one of the biggest keys to fluency.
Absolutely. Before, I used to study grammar for hours, but I still felt nervous when speaking. Now I focus more on communication instead of perfection, and I feel much more confident.
That's such an important mindset. I think many learners are afraid of making mistakes, but mistakes are a natural part of learning.
Exactly. And honestly, when I stopped worrying too much about mistakes, speaking English started feeling more natural and enjoyable.
I completely agree. Confidence grows when you actually use the language in real conversations.
Yes, and the more you speak, the easier it becomes. At first it feels difficult, but slowly your brain starts thinking faster in English.
And listeners, notice something important here. This conversation used very simple English, but it still sounded natural, clear, and fluent. That's exactly what real communication looks like. Now, Julia, let's talk about some common mistakes that stop English learners from becoming fluent. And honestly, many people make these mistakes without even realizing it.
That's true. One of the biggest mistakes is waiting to become perfect before speaking. Many learners think, I'll start speaking English when my grammar becomes perfect. But the problem is fluency does not come before speaking. Fluency comes because of speaking.
Exactly. Another mistake is focusing too much on grammar and not enough on communication. Grammar is important, of course, but if you only study rules and never practice real conversations, your speaking confidence will stay weak.
Absolutely. And many learners also compare themselves to other people. They watch fluent speakers online and feel discouraged. But everyone learns at a different speed, and comparison only destroys motivation.
That's such an important point. Another big mistake is being afraid of embarrassment. Some learners stay silent because they fear making mistakes in front of others. But honestly, mistakes are proof that you are learning and improving.
Yes. And finally, one of the most dangerous mistakes is inconsistency. Practicing English once in a while is not enough. Even small daily practice is much more powerful than studying for many hours only once a week.
Exactly. So remember, everyone, speak more, fear less, and do not let these common mistakes slow down your English journey.
Before we finish today's episode, we really want to remind you of something important. Becoming fluent in English is possible for you. It does not matter where you come from, how old you are, or how many mistakes you make right now. Every fluent English speaker started as a beginner one day.
Exactly. Sometimes learners think they are too late, too slow, or not talented enough to become fluent. But fluency is not about talent. It's about consistency, patience, and courage. Small daily practice may not feel powerful in one day, but after weeks and months, the improvement becomes incredible.
Yes? And please do not be too hard on yourself during this journey. Some days your English will feel strong, and some days it may feel difficult. That is completely normal. Learning a language is a long process, and progress happens step by step.
Absolutely. And remember this, every time you speak English, even with mistakes, you are improving. Every sentence you say is helping your brain grow stronger and more confident.
So stop waiting for perfection. Start speaking, start practicing, and trust the process.
Because one day, you will look back and realize that the English, which once felt difficult, has become a natural part of your life. All right, everyone, let's quickly review the most important ideas from today's episode. First of all, we learned that fluency does not mean speaking perfect English. Real fluency means communicating naturally, confidently, and comfortably without constantly being afraid of mistakes.
Exactly. And we also talked about why many learners struggle to become fluent. Some people focus too much on grammar, some are afraid of speaking, and others keep waiting for the perfect moment to start practicing. But the truth is, fluency only grows when you actively use English in your daily life.
That's right. And the biggest lesson from today is very simple. The only real way to become fluent in English is to use English every single day. Speak more, listen more, think in English, practice simple conversations, and do not be afraid of making mistakes.
Absolutely. Remember, you do not need to use difficult vocabulary to sound fluent. Simple English spoken confidently is already powerful communication. Small daily improvement is much more important than trying to be perfect.
And here's one final piece of advice for everyone listening today. Enjoy the journey. Do not turn English into stress or pressure. Make it part of your life little by little. And over time, your confidence and fluency will naturally grow.
Exactly. Because the more you use English, the more English becomes part of you.
All right, everyone. That's all for today's episode of the English Learning Podcast. We truly hope this conversation helped you feel more motivated and more confident about your English journey.
Yes, and now we want you to take action. After listening to this episode, try to practice English today, even if it's only for a few minutes. Remember, small daily practice creates big results over time.
And we'd love to hear from you as well. Tell us in the comments, what is your biggest challenge when learning English? Is it speaking, listening, confidence, or vocabulary?
Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another episode from our English Learning Podcast playlist.
Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Take care, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself.
Bye, everyone. See you in the next episode.